To be in the room today. Grateful,
Oh,
so grateful.
always so great to have you with me.
Oh,
And you've been doing some phenomenal things. So before we get into some shows,
yes,
we have
yes.
to talk about this amazing journey and where
Yeah.
it's led you
Wow.
recently. You've been doing some great stuff.
I'm super grateful, as the audience knows. It's been this journey, starting with the podcast, the Drive Project podcast. Shout out to everybody that listens to that. It means the world. And then now doing television with KCTS 9, and then now just went national with PBS at large, and that begins airing in April with the show Nature. I don't know if you've heard of the show Nature, people, but I grew up with that. I started watching that show at 13 years old, and I believe they're celebrating like 40 years of this show being on the air with the executive producer Fred Kaufman. And so to fly to New York, come on now, to have that moment, to go back, and New York is, that's home for me. My family's in Buffalo, New York. And so to go to New York and have that experience, the president picked me up, took me to dinner. It was so great. It's such an experience. And I kind of just kept having moments of where I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry for the little boy that believed. I wanted to cry for the teenager that believed. I wanted to cry for the 20-year-old that was, you're hoping and you hit these detours. And here I'm almost 40, and I'm just seeing what I imagined at 13 years old, what I hope to be. And that's why I tell people, never give up. Stick to the journey, keep walking it out. You don't know what phone call, email, or text message could change your life forever. And so here, I'm in New York. I put on the suit, and, the makeup artist, she was phenomenal. Shout out to Jenny McCarthy. And I was in sweats when I arrived. And I remember putting on my suit. And she said, okay, man, okay, okay, suit. and then to walk down the hallway, take my place. And then they count you down. And it was every moment that I hoped it to be. It had happened. And so, I'm so grateful to everybody that has believed in me, Converge, KCTS 9, everybody, friends, family, those that, just see me from afar and they're like, that's the guy. Like, I'm so grateful, because you cannot rise by yourself. And you may have to let go of certain things. I was just telling somebody, sometimes you have to let go of the trash to accept the class you need to be in.
Oh, there it is. I love it.
And so I'm
it.
grateful to have seen that day. And there's many projects to come, but to finally see that was just wow. So yes.
Well, it's a testament to the hard work and the journey. I think one of the things that I really appreciate about folks being able to share like you are today is because it didn't come out of nowhere.
No.
A lot of folks need to understand there's a real grind you've been on for a long time.
19 years.
Yeah, to ensure that folks knew who you were.
Yes.
You stepped out onto your own
Right.
with this level of confidence you have to bring to accept those kinds of opportunities and possibilities to come into your life. And you've done that in such a profound way. And I'm sure, just wife and kids are just elated to see you at this point. I mean, tell us how they're really receiving this blessing.
It's so funny because, I'm grateful to my wife. She has believed in me that I could do this. And she's tough. She's tough cookie, but she's believed in me. My boys are not into the drama. They're not into television like that. But I know they're proud, because one time my son sent a picture of me on TV. And I was like, that's his way of acknowledging, But my daughter, Adeline Olivia, she goes to school and says, oh, by the way, I don't know what your dad does, but we're in magazines. We're on TV. My dad's doing this. He's in New York. And so I know she's proud. And, people, I was doing a photo shoot recently, and the photographer said, you have no idea, by you stepping out, what you're doing for your children. They're building their belief system now based on the fact they're watching their dad say a thing, and then they watch it happen. And so I think there's something to be said about kind of, paving the way. It's bigger than you. And if your dream is only about you, then it's too small. And so you have to allow yourself to open up so something bigger can dream through you so it can help somebody else. And so when I think of the dream, I don't think of it being my own. I think of the people that will be able to come up, such as my children and other people, and so it has to be bigger than you. If your dream is only about you, it is too small and it's probably not going to go very far.
Yeah, that's a really profound statement right there. And I agree 100%. I think, one of the driving forces for me is not just about like exposure, right? Because part of that is, I've been saying it like all week. Part of it is that people need to be exposed to the possibilities.
Right.
And you provide an example of what that could be for someone, right?
Wow.
And just yesterday, my new intern, Kashay, was here for the first time, and she was like, whoa. She was like, okay,
yes.
now I see what this is.
Right.
I'm excited to participate. And I thought to myself, even the experience that she's about to embark on with me is a way for me to be able to be anchored in the fact that it is so much greater than me. And I think anyone who really takes on the opportunity to be kind of in the public eye like that really has to identify with how what they're doing is a part of something grander.
Right.
And I'm always saying, for me, one of the big things about being here is just to showcase the example that you can make it here.
Yes.
And I think that that's really key too. So staying with it doesn't mean that you can't take on these national opportunities.
Right.
You can.
Yes, you
can.
But
you also can plant yourself in the creative space within Washington State, and it can do something for you.
Right.
And really build out your dreams around that. So I love that you said that, because I agree 100%. And wherever my career takes me, you just got to embrace the journey, Jay.
I think, well, and the biggest thing is I was told probably 8 years ago by somebody I really love, oh, you won't be able to do it here in Seattle. You're going to have to move to LA. And so I was a little bit like disturbed, because I was like, but then why am I here? Now, it doesn't mean that I may not one day go out, but why am I here? What's the purpose? And so I had to shut out a lot of voices, even sometimes voices you love. They mean well, but it might not be the seed that needs to be planted in your soil.
Yeah, there it is.
And so I had to hold that word, hold that. I can't allow that to grow on the inside of me. And so I had to tell myself, no, you can do something right here. So the fact that I live here in Seattle, yet I'm doing national work in New York and coming home to Seattle, and then we'll go back and who knows wherever else, I have proven to myself that you are the biggest voice in your life. And so regardless of what other people are saying, what are you saying about yourself, and what do you believe could happen for you? And so now I look in the mirror and I'm like, wow, what if I would have believed that person? I might not even be here. And there are people here that need to see that we can do it. There are people here that need to be like, well, you know what? I can start that business here. I can walk into that creative space and own it right here in this city. And so I'm so grateful that I just didn't throw up the hand and be like, well, I'm out of here, Seattle. I got to go.
Yeah.
I'm glad to do great work right here. But then at the same time, I can say, hey, Seattle, we're in New York, we're in LA, we're everywhere, but I'm right here as well, too. So don't let anybody else detour you from where you need to be.
That's right. Absolutely. So, and a lot of folks share that sentiment of you can't do it here.
You can't do it here.
We're really blazing trails to showcase that you can.
Yes.
And I think that's really important.
Yes.
So you and I, we've been hitting the scene.
Yes, we have.
Lots of shows that have been going on. And I want to start with Giselle. I mean, this was such a phenomenal show, and I gotta give it to my girl Angelica Generosa. Oh my word! Such an amazing ballet dancer and also actress. The way that this was the marker for me with Giselle. Watching her go mad.
Yes.
I mean,
it was I felt every movement. The way she portrayed it, you felt it. You were like, wait a minute. I felt like I was right there with that scene.
There was a lot of magic, and I know the commercial that we ran were showcasing like the veils, lifting, which I thought was such a great moment. But there was so much greatness in this, and Jonathan did a phenomenal job.
Yes.
Again, I saw Damielle
doing
a great job.
Phenomenal.
I felt like everyone. This was a real blend of acting and the dance
Yes.
making you feel something in the audience. So those were some of my key takeaways.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is why I'm becoming such a real fan of the ballet.
Oh yeah, and
Jay.
for years I would want to go to the ballet, but I just never had the opportunity. And Converge has allowed me to be in the room with great people like you to see these spectacular, beautiful pieces. And now I'm able to bring my daughter, and she loves going. And I allow her to be able to, meet some of the great people. She's met Jonathan. She's met Damiel. She's met some of the most greatest dancers, and she's asking them questions simple as, why do you do what you do?
Yeah.
And when they begin telling it, you see her eyes light up, because it's more than just a show. It's art on display. And it's for the generation that's coming up that's interested. It gives them the ability to dream even bigger outside of their world. And that show allowed me to see frustration, anger, sadness, loss. They gave everything, and you felt every movement. And so again, A+ to everything. I was like, And it's funny. I was talking with Jonathan, and I said, I wish I could do that. He says, but you can if you just practice, just like you are where you're at today, because you kept practicing. Just start where you're at. I said, I might break my feet. But the show, superb. It was
so
beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
great. And one of the things that I think I really kind of fell into when I went to Giselle was just how incredible these dancers are right in our backyard, and the fact that there are so many families who don't get to see this. And I'm like, we need to talk more about these shows.
We shall.
We need to uplift the fact that there are diverse dancers on stage.
Yes.
P&B is doing the work
Yes.
of, dismantling the whiteness of the art form to a certain degree.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing to really be able to witness, right, from an audience perspective, because we're seeing the intentionality show up on stage. And I said to my friend who was with me, I said, oh my gosh, I'm really in awe of Jonathan and Angelica and their connection,
the commitment too.
Yes,
the
it's
commitment
so real.
As well.
It's so real. So I love that you were able to see that. We were also recently at the Paramount.
Oh, yes.
We checked out Dear Evan Hansen. And, shout out to our Paramount Connects, because they had me and Jay sitting next to each other. And honey,
it was good.
We kept on looking at each other and pointing. There were certain moments.
I'm like putting this together. What is this thought? What's your thought? Yes.
So the great thing, though, about this show was the story.
Right.
I mean, overall, I brought my mom with me. And my mom works in, with schools.
Okay.
And so she was like, wow, she's been in the education field for over 20 years. So she was really moved because the protagonist in this story is a kid that exists in almost every high school.
Every high school.
In the world, probably.
Right. And he just wanted it was like this struggle of, in his mind, what he imagined the world to be.
Yeah.
But on the outside, it was nothing like that. And so, and I thought of like today's world, where social media, certain things that have taken place, where you can paint a picture to be what you want people to see, but behind closed doors, there's a real struggle. There's a real issue going on. And I think the way they were able to portray that with the character Evan, it was so real. Yeah. And the story kept unfolding. And the more it more unfolded, you were like, oh no. But this is today's world. This is not shocking. Like, it's only so overwhelming because it's on stage and you're watching it in 2 hours. But this is everyday life for a lot of people, to where they just don't feel like they fit in. They don't feel like they belong. And so it's I don't want to use this term, but it's almost like you begin to live a lie.
Yeah.
You begin to live out this whole thing, and then eventually the lie takes over.
This is really, I think, something to be said about, I was like, I see why this has won awards. The story in and of itself is really depicting the times we're in right now, as you said.
Right.
And there was a moment where you get to see it from this kind of family perspective
Yes.
of how families kind of put up a certain persona because they're like playing their role in the family, and so much so that there's a disconnect between like what's really going on and what they've put in their own, path in terms of like, these are the things I have to do.
Yeah.
And so there was a moment there where we got to see the dad finally showcase some emotion about what was going on in the story. And that really struck me, Jay, because I was like, we know there's a lot of men in this country, a lot of dads who carry the weight of so much for the family. And you think about these very specific roles people say you're supposed to play. And it was just beautiful to see, not only in the character of Evan, but also with the family.
With the family that lost.
The other family that lost. There was something so real about that.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, plus they did have some good harmonies in there. I'm telling you, they did. They were trying to bring the harmonies in. But it was one of those stories that I walked away and I went, man, and my mom was just so taken by it. Because she said, just being in the school system, you have no idea how real this is for so many youth. It's real.
Well, and even the fact of like, just briefly touching on how, he said, well, that was my friend. Yeah. But it brought a connection with the family, because like you said, the family was very disconnected. But it's interesting how loss will bring people together. Yeah. And throughout that, the show, you watched how the family began to bond again, because there was such a disconnect. And you began to see, as he began to portray what he hoped it would be, it brought the family together. Like you said, the father began to tap into emotions. The daughter began to come in and be like, oh, baby, it wasn't as bad. The mom was like, oh. But then you also saw the flip side of Evan's mother. And she was like, wait a minute, you're over here. But see, she was busy building her career. But at the same time, it was like, well, did you take your meds? And then she would go. But at the end of the day, it was more than just that. And I'm not against medicine. I think it's a great tool to help people reconnect and do what they need to do so they can function in life. But it was more than just that. He needed actually his mother as well. There were so many different just moments where I was like, oh, I can identify with that. It's more than just, and he cleaved to something that allowed him to be seen.
It was so real. Well, we have some shows that are coming up. I'm excited. Tonight, you and I will be in the building once again, and we're going to be watching Unbound. I am excited for this
I'm excited. I began watching the little teasers and stuff like that. I'm really excited to see. And I was thinking Jonathan was going to be, and he said, no, I'm under arrest right now. And I was like, okay. But he said, but the show is going to be phenomenal. Sit back. You are going to be overwhelmed with these different stories. So
I'm excited for that. And then we got the iconic story coming up Sunday, the opening day of Snow White. It was so great to connect with the dancers who are going to be there. I'm so excited to see Emerson. I'm so excited that both of them are going to be there. And honestly, I was thinking to myself, like, between the two, because I spoke to Emerson, and Stella was there for the program, but then I also got to speak to, it was one more, and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name, but they were both talking about how they're friends, and they grew up in Pacific Northwest Ballet School, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, like
full circle right there.
And they both get to play Snow White, so I'm excited. I'll get to bring my goddaughter.
I'm bringing my daughter. We're gonna be there together in the room. I cannot wait.
Jay, as always, it's just such a pleasure to have you with me. Please look right here. Let folks know how they tap into all the great things you're doing.
Well, number one, thank you so much for even just paying attention to anything that I do. I count it such a privilege. I always say I do it for the one. You can follow me at J Martin Jr. on Instagram, on Facebook. The Drive Project podcast is available on 12 different platforms. And you can watch me. It's so weird to say all this now. You can watch me on KCTS9 with the series KCTS9 Presents. And soon now, nationally with PBS for the show Nature in April and June, and other projects to come. So there's a lot happening.
There it is.
It's good.
I love these times where we can catch up. Thank you so much for giving me some time today.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Oh, I get to